Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on the Tempest and we are still in Act 1, Scene 2. We're going to be here for a little while longer because there's still a whole bunch of information that we need to get caught up on. And we get to hear from Ariel today. Ariel being a sort of sprite, servant, fairy, magical creature who has been in Prospero's service for the last year-ish, something like that. So, which we'll find out after today's monologue, but that's okay. I'm not giving anything away. So Prospero had Ariel create a storm that made a ship sink, which Prospero's daughter Miranda saw and was sort of heartbroken about. So Prospero gave us a whole bunch of background. There were people on this ship who he knew from his previous life as the Duke of Milan, but his brother wanted to usurp the dukedom, so put Prospero and Miranda on a really, really crappy boat and set them out to sea, and they landed on this island about 12 years ago. So Prospero then puts Miranda to sleep and has Ariel come in and is like, so did you do it? Did you make the storm the way that I told you to? And Ariel's like, yep, exactly. I did it exactly the way that you wanted to. And everybody except for the crew jumped overboard, and it was the king's son Ferdinand that came up first, and all the people that you wanted to wash ashore washed ashore, and their clothes are in better shape than they were before they jumped in the water, and nobody was harmed. Everybody's all okay, that sort of a thing. That's what yesterday's monologue and story were all about. And then Prospero's like, but what about, so everybody except for the boat's crew, everybody except for the mariners jumped off. What about the mariners and the rest of the boats that were in the fleet? And Ariel says, safely in harbor is the king's ship, in the deep nook, where once thou calledst me up at midnight to fetch dew from the still fex Bermuths. There she's hid. The mariners all under hatches stowed, who, with a charm joined to their suffered labor, I have left asleep. And for the rest of the fleet, which I dispersed, they have all met again, and are upon the Mediterranean float, bound sadly home for Naples, supposing that they saw the king shipwrecked and his great person perish. So everybody's fine, is what Ariel is saying, which is sort of what Prospero was telling Miranda at the beginning when she was so upset about the shipwreck. He's like, nobody was hurt. So this little tidbit has all just been him checking in with Ariel that, correct, nobody actually got hurt. So the boat's crew are fine. Ariel took the boat and stashed it away in a safe little harbor and just put sort of a sleeping spell on all of the mariners who are still safely on that boat, where they will remain for a little while. And the rest of the ships in the fleet met up again and are sailing home to Naples. They think that they saw this ship got wrecked, so they might be a little bit sad, but everybody is physically safe and still alive. So Prospero's like, oh, you did an awesome job, thanks. And there's one more thing that I need you to do. And Ariel's like, but don't you remember that thing that you promised? And Prospero's like, what thing that I promised? Your freedom? And Ariel's like, yeah, it's been a year, and you said that you would free me after a year, and I wouldn't have to be your servant anymore. And then we get to see the wrath of Prospero, which will be tomorrow's monologue. So I'll see you then for that. Mwah.